Committee, the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Collins, for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I begin my opening statement, I have to make a clarification because it has been pointed out and it violates the rules of the House. These are not concurrent motions. They cannot be concurrent. They cannot run together. According to the rules of the House, they cannot run concurrent. It's not, and in fact, it's not in the motion, but I'm just making the statement based on your opening statement that these cannot run concurrent, and that has been discussed this week in depth, and so I want to make it very clear to the committee that these cannot run concurrent. These are two separate hours that we're discussing. They're not concurrent. They're not concurrent. So just as an awareness here, this is 2 more hours we're adding on to this committee, and like I said, for the first hour we had no problem with. I mean, members can do that, and that's what. But I want to make it pointed out it's not part of the motion, and it is not concurrent as we go forward. So with that, last week while we were off, I had to do my annual training, part of my annual training in the Air Force. And so I was sitting ahead and I looked ahead at my schedule. I got back into my room that night and I looked ahead and I said, this is going to be a good week in Judiciary Committee. We're going to have markups. We're going to do what we're supposed to be doing. If you were here yesterday, we had a markup and it actually went very well. We actually did stuff that helped the American people. That was a good thing. And it was a great day. Even today, even in a bill which I disagree with, but that's part of Congress, that's part of the debate, and that's part of the negotiation, is there's a bill we're going to mark up, eventually I'm assuming we'll mark up, that will go to the floor. That's a good thing. That's what this committee is supposed to do. And on Thursday, we were finally going to get, tomorrow, we were going to get to talk to the Attorney General and ask questions. And even to the point of making sure that both sides had as much time, as much as we could get and do whatever we needed to do. And then over the weekend, it was discussed and leaked to the press that we're deciding to now, we're going to add in something that is not precedented. It's not precedented, not because Doug Collins says so or any Republican says so. It says it's unprecedented based on a fact check of CNN. It has not been a precedent for this committee to use staff in a full hearing in this Judiciary Committee. In fact, everything that was just laid out by the chairman just a few moments ago, he listed 2 incidents of impeachment. He listed the impeachment of a select committee, which is different rules. He listed also Dan Burton in the House Oversight Committee, which again is not the Judiciary Committee. He did list some events that took place in transcripts that were not public testimony. Now my problem here is this. Bill Barr, so far, and we can have disagreements, you can disagree with him, you can do whatever, but it was amazing up until a few weeks ago he was a good man. Up until a few weeks ago, people thought he was a good attorney. Up until a few weeks ago, Bob Mueller was a top-notch investigator until the report came out and it didn't say what you wanted to say. And at this point in time, now he's a so-called attorney general. It's amazing to me the words that have been said at this point. But there's 2 reasons for this motion. There's 2 reasons, and really in one that I'm going to focus on independently. And that is that the chairman has decided, along with the majority, that they want to appear as if they're doing impeachment. They want to have an impeachment-like inquiry because the precedent for staff questioning is impeachment. But the problem is they can't bring themselves to bring impeachment. They can't bring themselves to take one of the resolutions that's already been addressed on the Democratic side to bring it to this committee and open impeachment. If that's what they want to do, open it up. We then go for separate battles and we begin this process. But instead, we want the appearance of impeachment to supply our base, to talk to others, to impugn integrity, to do whatever so that we can smear the president ahead of a 2020 election. There's no precedent here that we're looking at that can say this. We just simply want to do it. But there's another area that really bothers me here because I have had the privilege of sitting on this committee for 6 years. I have watched on the other side some very good members ask questions. Steve Cohen from Tennessee, I've watched him blister witnesses. Mr. Raskin from Maryland, I've watched and shuddered that I wouldn't want to be on the other side of that questioning. Mr. Cicilline, Mr. Jeffries, I've been impressed with our new members who have been on this committee. You can do this. Why would you want to say something that a staff member can do it better than you can? If a staff member wants to ask questions, run for Congress. Put your money down, take a chance, and run for Congress. I was told earlier this week that we're doing staff questioning because it streamlines questioning and saves time. Wrong. It adds another hour It can't streamline questioning because it's at the end. Really, let's be honest, with lawyers in the room, what we're doing is we're trying to put a staff member at the end to try and catch the Attorney General in saying something that he can then be asked about later. This is all this is. So as we go forward here, I believe Bill Barr has done exactly what he said he was going to do. He said he would release the report. He said this was the findings of the report. Even the letter the chairman mentioned today said that they were concerned about context. Nowhere in there does it say Mueller disagreed with the findings. That's not true. To say that they disagreed with the findings, they didn't disagree with the findings. He was wanting to get the report out as soon as possible. What we have here is simply another opportunity to sidetrack and to have a serial sideshow of stepping on our own. This may be the Whitaker model. Maybe this is what we're dealing with. We're going to do the motion this morning, and then we're going to hope and hope and hope that Bill Barr tonight will say, no, I don't want to come, and then we'll offer that we won't have the staff, and we'll offer and maybe he'll come tomorrow. Maybe that's the model that we're looking at here. But at the end of the day, this is not the way this committee should operate. This is something we were looking forward to that all of us should be able to. Every member here who ran for office, whether you agreed with the president or liked the president, it didn't matter. This was our chance to talk about a Mueller report that all of us have talked about for 2 years. Instead of putting poison pills in here to say, now we're going to have a sideshow, now we'll have something out and all. Right now, folks, Bill Barr is testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee. No theatrics except questions about the report. Why is that so hard for us? Number one, we want it to look like impeachment because we're in the majority. Democrats are in this side of the building. We want it to look like impeachment because we don't like the results. There is no precedent that actually applies here. And as we go down, as I have told the chairman before, if we're going down this road, then this will slow down a lot of stuff. And the good things that we can do in this committee, the crisis on our border, the intellectual property issues, everything else that we could do is going to fall victim to a stunt. It's going to fall victim to a play. If I was a part of the majority at this point in time, I would have thought my staff could make and help me ask good questions. Undoubtedly, that's not what it is. They want to throw something up to make it look like an impeachment hearing when it's not, because they don't have the ability or want to put an impeachment inquiry out there. Where I'm from, if you take something simple and mess it up, you're either intentional or you're just not sure what you're doing. At this point, we had the chance to have the Attorney General here tomorrow and do away with this and get on to a markup of a real bill. Instead, we're going to spend a while talking about a theatric stunt. But just in case, we do have our popcorn machine now because, as I said a few months ago, this has become nothing but theater. And with that, I yield back.